Yeah, there was this DNC. Yeah, I was talking about that maybe later. Fez didn't win though.
Oh, I thought I was very impressed with what he said. I was, I don't think he had a real shot at winning.
No, it's very interesting. Yeah, like that. Basically, for folks who didn't watch it, I mean, one of the things he said, we in the Democratic Party are held to a much higher standard than our Republicans. We have to reject identity politics that dissipate our power, that pits us against it. Because a number of times questions were asked, like, would you set up an at-large seat for a Arab representative, for instance, or a Muslim representative? And then also somebody came, well, you're going to have to do an at-large seat for a Jewish representative too. And this is all because they didn't want to let a Palestinian speak to something which was massively desired by the base of the party, which is a Palestinian person to speak, not least which have a ceasefire. But like these sorts of, that's not how to get the Democrats to address this, is to like have some sort of special carve out that they can fill with another lawyer. That's frankly going to be like, you need to democratize the party. And there was also the question to Fez, and I wish I could find this, but it was like, how are you going to reach out to voters who have material concerns, but they're also racist? And it's like the idea that you are trying to get somebody to change their opinions about this sort of stuff before you've got their vote. What the fuck are you doing? That obviously, if they're not going to vote for you, they're not going to be open to your communication on stuff. That sort of approach to things is just insane. And that, like, Fez is the only one that was like, I actually think, like, maybe we take another question. I'm going to try to track that. Here's this question here, real briefly.
All right, so Faz, I'll come to you on this one. Given that President Trump ran and he openly and consistently employed racist and misogynistic rhetoric on the campaign trail, we cannot ignore the role of fear and hate in Vice President Harris's defeat. How would you, as DNC chair, handle voter prejudices while also addressing their real concerns about substantive policy issues?
I want to answer that while I discuss the media thing, because I've been for now 4 years ago, launched a media organization, run a media organization called More Perfect Union that focused on doing video-based journalism. And it has wildly succeeded. We got 400 plus million views last year. The YouTube channel is now over 1.4 million subscribers. By comparison, the Democratic channel has 76,000 that started in 2006. What is going on? It isn't a problem of tubes and pipes. It is content. You have to wake up every day with a direction of what type of content will work on these platforms. Now, in my view, in these moments, and this kind of answers your question, the power of the Democratic Party is people. We put videographers on the ground working with our state parties. When Trump attacks, he goes after Medicaid. We tell stories about the people on Medicaid. I promise you, when you put a McDonald's worker or a Walmart's worker on a video explaining how my life is helped by Medicaid, it will be both good content, it gets out of the partisanship, because often those pieces of content may be in red states. They may be people who voted Trump. But if we focus on these kinds of economic justice issues, I believe we have an opportunity to bring people in who may not agree with us on racial, cultural, and other social justice matters. But when they see that Democratic Party put economic justice as a primacy issue, I do believe that it is our long-held, proud lineage. That's what they want to support.
I mean, how is that he was nicer to the question than I would have been. I just can't get over how you're looking through the binoculars backwards with that stuff. And anybody, like Matt Carp's made this point, anybody like who looks at, say, the organizing of the socialists in the second half of the 1800s, they were very clear that we're not going to deal with any of these social pathologies that drive us apart until we organize people around central ideas and demands. And then it happens. And I'll tell you this, More Perfect Union has saved more people from fucking racism and misogyny than any one of these goddamn Democrat messaging operations. And the ones that they're trying now, we're talking about mediocre white men are the only one. Like, this is the way forward, and everyone knows that this is the way forward, and he's right to cite the numbers, because that's the only thing that's getting through to people is that sort of shit.
I can't agree more, Matt. All I'll say is that, like, the fact of the matter that is not only treated as controversial, but as maybe potentially dangerous, a worrying idea, maybe an example of some kind of wickedness of his soul. I mean, it shows just one, how rotten the ideology of that party has become. That's saying things like, hey, we should be talking about how the policies of our opponents are harming everyday people, right? That's somehow offensive, or even, frankly, not to take away from the clip, because I think it's a great clip, something that's thought of as novel in a party that just got thrashed in an election. I mean, really, really, it says something about that party.
The apologetic way of like, well, we can't downplay the racism and misogyny. No, motherfuckers, you have made that worse by leaning on that stuff and completely abandoning the field when it comes to these material issues. You have leaned on that stuff, even the trans stuff. Like, Democrats saw, trans got us to, get North Carolina or whatever, like 6 years ago. So we're going to lean all in on that. The problem with the Democrats is not that they do these things for various different identity issues. It's that they lean on them in the absence of actually delivering for people when the bottom has fucking fallen out of the economy.
And sorry, Matt, it's not just like politically bad, but it's also kind of socially and morally wrong, because what it does is, for people who are saying like, hey, I did vote for for Democrats and I was hoping my life was going to get better. Oh man, it's gotten worse. But they still keep on talking about these kind of things. It then associates, right, the rot of American capitalism, the suffering that people are experiencing, the lowering life expectancy that people are feeling, the worries that their children might not be able to have as good of a life as they did, right? People start to associate that with social progress, right? So it's doubly damning. It's damning in the sense that it's politically failing them right now, but it's also bad because it associates progress and justice on these kind of things with going backwards economically and materially for people. When it does, when like in reality, that's not the case. So it's very bad that these are the people who are in power and are supposedly leading the opposition party.
If you think the solution to the Democrats killing what could be hundreds of thousands of people by supporting Israel for the last 15 months is an at-large seat in their party politics, I got news for you. Like, you're wrong. You need to control the money in at least the primaries, because clearly that has an impact. And you have to democratize the decision making generally. It can't be, and we talked about this even 2 years ago, saying, hey, this thing about how the Democrats are running a Save Democracy campaign while also trying to force a 83-year-old who's clearly senile through without any kind of democratic challenge, maybe won't work.